Feisty, fearless, and fair. She's an Emmy-winning journalist from the White House to war zones, telling all sides of the story. This is the Rita Cosby Show.
Lovely Rita, meet a maid. Nothing can come between us. When it gets dark, I tow your heart away. Standing by a parking meter.
Well, tonight, the thug is behind bars, and the details that are coming out about this horrific crime committed by the illegal Ecuadorian migrant who raped a 13-year-old New York City girl is just getting worse and worse and worse. It's horrible when you hear the details, but he is apparently confessing to the crime. And he's also alleging that he even recorded it. What a sick monster is this guy. He is telling authorities when he was in court today that he sort of stumbled across the two teens in the Queen's Park. And then he found a knife in the park and he threatened the teens with it. That's according to what he told authorities also. And also, he says that he tied the teens together with a shoelace and that he stuffed a bandana in the girl's mouth and cut off her shorts and underwear. It's horrific to hear what happened. He, of course, sadly raped the 13-year-old girl. And then he told both the girl and the boy to wait 20 minutes while he ran off with their phones and threw them away. And according to prosecutors, he said that he then went to go and buy drugs. They connected him through a DNA sample from a water bottle at the scene of the rape, of this horrific rape, and also from a sample that he gave to immigration authorities when he illegally crossed the border in 2021. He was given a notice to appear, come back whenever you can, no problem. And he, of course, didn't come back, according to authorities. He just fled, and he committed a series of a whole bunch of different crimes also in this country as well. So it's shocking, and it is horrible to hear what has gone on, and is just a case of what happens when you have a wide open southern border. It is disgusting, and it's horrific. And it is a powerful, powerful reminder that you need to have a secure border, that you must make sure that we are vetting people, we're checking people who are coming through this country. You can't just have it be wide open and say, hey, come on back in a few years. Clearly, this guy who has a rap sheet of a couple other crimes, apparently in New York, domestic violence and a couple other things. Clearly, he has done some really horrible things in the past, because you don't just go into a park and take two teenagers and rape a 13-year-old and walk away. Now, today, apparently, he was claiming, well, it's a drug problem. Guess what? It's a lot more than a drug problem. You've got some serious, major, horrific issues, and you shouldn't be in this country. And now I hope he is locked up for the rest of his life. Here is Janice Yu. This is ABC News describing the arraignment, because he had his first court appearance today and he was formally charged. Listen to how she described the arraignment. This is a reporter with ABC News.
Well, the suspect was in court with his public defender and an interpreter by his side. He did not say anything during this short appearance, his first appearance in front of a judge. He was remanded into custody, and when he walked in, he had his head down, and when he was being led back out, he also had his head down again, did not say a word during this hearing.
What a scumbag. That's the nicest thing I can say about this monster, who has now been charged with predatory sexual assault, first-degree rape, 2 counts of second-degree kidnapping, 2 counts of first-degree robbery, second-degree rape, first-degree sexual abuse, obstructing government administration, and 2 counts of endangering the welfare of a child. and he could face a maximum of 25 years to life if he is convicted on the main charge alone. And let's hope they throw the book at this creep, because citizens have had enough. And how dare you do this to an American citizen? How dare you do this to a 13-year-old girl? And here is one of the NYPD chiefs talking about what the suspect did in court and what he admitted to them. Listen to this.
The perpetrator has made statements waiving Miranda rights where he indicated that he has a drug problem, that he found the knife that he used to threaten the two teens, that this was the first time he had ever done anything like this.
First time he's ever done anything like this. Yeah, he just kind of happened to go in a park and rape a 13-year-old girl and had her 13-year-old friend watch. I find it hard to believe it's the first time he did this. Again, there is some abuse in his background. I'm talking about the domestic abuse, apparently, that he created on others and some other crimes. But you can bet that there's probably other cases like this before. And hopefully they can figure it out pretty quickly, because he had a very distinctive tattoo. And that is what helped the kids being able to identify him. He had a very distinctive, like a boar tattoo, the animal, a boar tattoo on his chest, and also dental braces that matched a description when they found him. Of course, citizens tackled him. Thank goodness for those brave citizens. But because he had all these distinctive marks on him and very distinctive appearance features, the kids were able to identify him. And today, Melinda Katz, who is the district attorney in Queens, New York, where this horrible crime took place, also talked about just how incredibly courageous the young kids were. And I'm glad she talked about this, because I thought about this right away. First of all, how horrific what these two young teenagers had to endure, especially the girl. My goodness, she will be scarred for life. I'm sure the boy will too. It is just unfathomable what happened to this young girl. And you also think about just that they were able to, right afterwards, he said, wait, 20 minutes. Apparently, they waited 20 minutes. And then they went to their school, and then the school called authorities. Think about how sharp-minded that even in the midst of all this, that they were able to think clearly, go to the school, and provide a very clear description that gave authorities the ability to do a sketch with a sketch artist, with a police sketch artist, that they put together that obviously was a very good description, because they blanketed the community, the law enforcement did, with this guy's picture. And a number of people said, wait, I know that guy. That's how they were able to wait for him to show up at the bodega. But I'm really so happy that the DA of Queens, New York, credited the courage of these two young kids to think clearly enough to right away go to authorities and right away provide a very coherent description that nabbed this fiend. Listen to what the DA said.
It is amazing then, from what they went through, their identification, their memory of the tattoo, the braces, all which was right on point, which is a remarkable thing for two 13-year-olds to remember.
It is unbelievably courageous and unbelievably coherent and remarkable. And bravo to those two teens who played a huge role in busting this sex fiend and this monster and getting him off the streets. Because surely if he did this, he was going to do something else. And here is New York City Councilman Bob Holden. He's part of the Common Sense Caucus. He is a Democrat there in Queens. It's his area. And he is so fed up and so disgusted with what's happening with these migrants, with the illegal crime, with the migrants taking the place of American citizens, and also with them now committing heinous acts. He said he and many New Yorkers and many Americans are just fed up. Take a listen to what he had to say.
It's going to keep happening. We haven't learned a lesson. certainly, why did we form ICE in the first place? We formed ICE and Department of Homeland Security in the years after 9/11. Why? Because city, state, and federal government agencies weren't communicating. So what do we do? And New York City has been doing this for a while now, creating these sanctuary city laws to protect criminals like this guy that was just arrested for raping that 13-year-old. This is what we do. And if any city should have learned a lesson, it's New York City after 9/11. So I'm worried about people committing crimes who are migrants or illegal aliens, whatever you want to call them, asylum seekers, whatever you want to put a name on. This is a dangerous situation at this point because they can't work. Many of them can't work. They have, obviously, they have no jobs, and they're desperate, and they're committing crime every day in New York City. And I'm worried, by the way, certainly for another 9/11, which we're headed in that direction.
We are heading in that direction. And already there have been, I think it's like 150,000 plus criminals that have come into our country that have had convictions under the Biden administration. Those are the ones we know of. We didn't know of the history of this guy, and I'm sure it is lengthy. I'll be really curious to see, did he do anything in Ecuador? That's his home country. The 25-year-old monster is from Ecuador. So what did he do there? I doubt Ecuador is ever going to provide any information to us, but it would certainly be worth it because, boy, we need to know. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Al in Yonkers. Al, your thoughts about all this?
Yeah, hi, Rita. You know, Rita, this Ecuadorian, migrant who came to this country,
monster,
who shouldn't have been here to begin
not
with.
Migrant,
Exactly.
Monster. Go ahead.
That's right. He shouldn't have been here to begin with. What was good is that there was some street justice that took place. Fortunately for him, the cops came because they probably would have pummeled him to inch of his life. When you remember in the 1980s, when they had in California, the Golden State, they had Robert Ramirez, a.k.a. the Night Stalker.
Yep.
He terrorized the state of California. And there's some similarities with this case because when Robert Ramirez was brought to justice at the end, he damn near got killed in a rough area of L.A. And if the cops didn't come, he would have been beat to death probably.
Yeah, you know what? Very interesting comparisons because you're right. I think people get to the point where they are fed up and they
That's
are
right.
so disgusted. And I do believe that every law-abiding citizen really wants to be safe. I mean, people, the last thing they want to hear is that somebody in their community, especially a 13-year-old girl, was just brutalized this way. What I heard also from a number of the people here in this case, and you're right about, I remember the whole thing with Richard Ramirez, and this has happened in a number of other cases, that I think when good people find out who these individuals are, they don't want them in their community, and they realize that they're a danger and a threat to anybody, the community at large. And they realize that these people are monsters and need to be behind bars. In New York State, it's 25 years to life. There's no death penalty in New York State. But believe me, I would say, hey, that's a good call for somebody like this guy. Somebody who would do this to a 13-year-old girl, I would absolutely, to me, it's just despicable. And I think about also in this particular case, there were a number of the people that were doing the takedown of them that said that they were parents. That they were parents of teenage kids. So to them, this was very personal to them. And I say bravo, like you said, to the citizens and street justice. We'll continue with your calls after the break. 1-800-848-9222.
The Rita Cosby Show.
This is Greg Kelly for Priority Gold. What does it mean to be America's precious metals dealer? It means that you're in touch with the hearts and minds of those who love this country, value our freedom, and want to protect the future. Priority Gold is that precious metals dealer. They've helped thousands of Americans back their retirement with solid gold and silver. Call Priority Gold at 888-506-6439. Receive free shipping, free storage, a free investment guide, and one of the best purchase experiences in the industry. Call now or go to PriorityGold.com.
Long Island is more exciting than ever at Jake's 58 Casino Hotel. Get ready to zoom into some serious cash with Zoom Ball every Wednesday in June. Win up to $500,000. 1 point equals 1 entry. 2 lucky winners will be drawn at the top of every hour from 1 to 5 p.m. to play Zoom Ball. Discover the excitement at Jake's 58 Casino Hotel.
If gambling is a problem for you or someone, please call the 24-hour toll-free helpline at 877-8-HOPE or text NY.
Hey, it's Joe Piscopo. When you're looking for concrete materials for your next construction project, call Diamondback Ready Mix on Staten Island. This family-owned and operated business is the go-to supplier for concrete materials in New York, New Jersey, and the surrounding tri-state areas. My friends and experts from Diamondback Ready Mix are experts and fully licensed and insured in New York and in New Jersey to deliver ready-mix concrete to your job site. Give them a call today for more information at 718-650-5649, 718-650-5649.
It's the Rita Cosby Show.
Well, thank God for street justice, and I am talking about the case of the citizens who decided to show a little bit of a beatdown and take down the suspect, the 25-year-old guy from Ecuador, who is now, thank goodness, behind bars. He is not going to be able to get out. He's got another hearing July 1st. But he never should have been in the country to begin with. He was here illegally. He crossed the border in 2021, and luckily they got a DNA sample and also fingerprints from him when he crossed the border illegally. They said, hey, come on back. You got a hearing in a year or two. Guess what? He never showed up. What a surprise. And clearly he has a history of violence because you don't just suddenly rape a 13-year-old girl in a New York park for the heck of it. And now it turns out he also filmed it. He's telling them, and he's blaming it on drugs. I'm sorry. I don't feel sorry for you in any shape or form. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Give him the maximum punishment in New York. It is 25 years to life. I say life behind bars. 1-800-848-9222. 9222. Let's go to Liz in Florida. Liz, your thoughts about all of this?
Hi, Rita. Thank you so much for taking my call. I spoke to you last night. You asked me to call back, so here I am.
I'm so glad you did. Thank you, Liz.
No, thank you. I just wanted to finish my thoughts. So yesterday I recommended that we offer rewards for these monsters. And, you know, most citizens really don't want to get involved, but they do want and they need money, and this can be an incentive to track them down and, the criminals down and get them involved. So, in fact, this is what I think. There should be pictures everywhere on subways, on streets, on storefronts, showing the pictures or sketches of these criminals and offer rewards. And once, we post their faces everywhere, then I think more people will be able to help out the police. Now, the other question I had, I was wondering, where does the reward money come from? But I don't know if you know, but I had an idea. So
yeah, some of it comes from citizens who give it. Some of it comes from money that's been seized, because they also do drug deals and a series of other things. But go ahead real quick, Liz.
So political fundraising. I understand politicians need to raise money, but they do not need so much money.
That's an interesting point. So maybe part of it could go to this. And also maybe some citizens want to put up the funds too sometimes. It's a good idea.
Rita Cosby is on. The Rita Cosby Show presents Back the Blue.
And this Back the Blue segment is sponsored by GoyaCares.com because you are a precious gift from God. And this very powerful story coming from Shelby Township, Michigan, where police and fire personnel are being credited with saving the life of a child that stopped breathing. It happened just a few days ago when police officers were dispatched to a home about 4:30 p.m. for a baby that was not breathing. When the officer arrived on the scene, he was directed to the upstairs of a home where a 1-year-old child was lying on the floor and it started to turn blue and did not have a pulse. A very serious situation. Family members told the officer that the baby could possibly be choking, and an officer then immediately started to perform CPR and back thrusts. Another officer arrived on the scene and then began to assist the other officer doing the same thing. Well, then finally also the Shelby Fire Department, the Shelby Township, Michigan Fire Department came on the scene and they continued administering CPR as well. The child was then taken by ambulance to a local hospital. The child was intubated and also admitted into a neonatal intensive care unit. A very much life-threatening situation. The investigation showed, by the way, that the child may have choked on a piece of food. Thankfully, after receiving treatment at the hospital, the child was breathing on his own and is expected to make a full recovery. What a great story. And thank goodness, a happy ending, thanks to our men and women in blue. Well, we are talking, of course, about this horrible case of a 13-year-old girl who was raped by an illegal migrant. And now the migrant apparently telling police a whole bunch of details of what he did and why he did it, that he was on drugs. And I'm sorry, that is no excuse for being an animal, because that is what this man is. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Fred in Nassau County, line 5. Fred, your thoughts.
Yes, Rita, you were praising before, way before the breaks that happened, about the children, about they knew what to do, knew where to go, the authorities, and tell exactly what happened. That's great. That's great. And we got to praise Jeffrey Flores and his girlfriend, who actually physically tackled this guy, as I understand it, and held him till the police came. So
yeah, actually, do me a favor, Fred. Hang on if you could, because I was actually going to play a clip from Jeffrey Flores. You're right. Him and his girlfriend, bravo. They are amazing. Here he is, and how he describes catching the rape suspect. Take a listen. Stick with us, Fred.
Take him out, and I told everybody, yo, this is the rapist. You know, I punched him, I kicked him a little bit, I ain't gonna lie. And yeah, that's it.
What'd you say to him?
None, I ain't saying nothing to him. I'm always quiet when I see new people that I really don't know, you feel me? Like, I recognize people from around him, like, hold up, this is son. But I already knew it was him since he was coming down this block. I already knew it was him.
Did he say anything to you?
Nope.
Nothing at all?
He didn't see it coming.
He didn't deny it? He didn't
deny. He was like, oh, he started yelling, help, help, help in Spanish. I'm like, yeah, that's what the little girls were saying. And he didn't deny it. I said, they already got your ass. He's like, yeah, I know. And he just surrendered. He gave up.
Wow. Yeah. So describe that takedown. I mean, that's...
It's not even that I'm big. It's just, you feel me, I got 2 little sisters, and I'm about to have a daughter. So it's like, for me, it did not sit right. Either or, if I didn't have 2 little sisters, I was about to have a daughter. It's still not right.
Bravo to Jeffrey Flores, has 2 sisters, has a daughter. And, Frank, I don't mean to sound cold-hearted, but when I heard what Jeffrey was just describing there, when he said that the guy crying like a little baby, the 25-year-old illegal migrant, and he was saying, help, help, help. And I love Jeffrey shouting back at him saying, yeah, that's what the little girl was saying. Bravo to Jeffrey and bravo to like everybody there. But he's a real hero, don't you think, Fred?
I think so. I think guardian angels, they don't exist. They're not going to look like what's printed in biblical things. They're out there though. And
yeah, you know who I think of? You know, I think of Daniel Penny. You know, Daniel Penny. Yes. Daniel Penny. Exactly. I wonder what he's thinking of through all of this now, you know, because
I wonder where he is now. He shouldn't be where he is, whatever. He shouldn't be in the predicament he's in.
Yeah, absolutely. He should not. I mean, here is a guy who stood up and averted who knows what could have been catastrophic on that train. And yet he has to deal with all these issues. I say that's another guy who deserves a medal is Daniel Penny. And I say Jeffrey Flores should be standing right next to him and getting another medal. Both of them deserve gold medals in my book. Right, Fred?
Yes. He said he was going to have a daughter. So that was going through his mind. Hey, this is terrible. And he did what he had to do. I think we should have people like that in all communities, and you would see less of this. But people don't want to get involved. But Jeffrey did.
Yeah.
And his girlfriend.
And thank goodness they did. And you know what? Maybe there's things that can be done, Fred, that would incentivize more Jeffrey Floreses out there and more Daniel Pennys. We just heard, Liz from Florida was calling in and saying, that these rewards are a good thing. I think so, too. But maybe there's some other things, too, that can also acknowledge their heroism and help them or do something. There's things like Crime Stoppers. There's a police rewards. There's a whole bunch of different things. But maybe there's some ways that we can herald these people and inspire others to step up. Because I think there's a lot of good people, just like you said, Fred. And some people are scared. And some people, when they saw what happened with, granted, in this case, there were a lot of them. So the guy was so outnumbered and he knew it. And, he's not, I don't think he's a big guy. I can't really tell, but he doesn't look like such a big guy. But there's a lot of them all at once. So that also certainly helped. But you wonder if there's something that can be done to inspire people to not be in dangerous situations, but when they feel like there's, that they have power in numbers, that they can do the right thing and step up. And also report these people, too. Also, more people reporting the crimes, not even necessarily taking the law into their own hands, but also reporting it. Fred, thank you very much. I'm so glad we're shining a light on Jeffrey Flores because he is an American hero. And I say bravo to him. Let's go to Vinny in New Jersey. Vinny, your thoughts about all this?
Well, he's definitely, I'm not an animal anymore. There's something wrong with this guy. I said months ago, it's only going to be a matter of time before a heinous crime like this is going to have people flip out and start taking the law in their own hands, and that's exactly what's happening, and it's only going to get worse. And you know what? I know that the death penalty isn't valid in New York, but you know what? With something like this, it's definitely viable. Why live off the taxpayer dollar for the next 20 or 30 years on death row? It's disgusting. Every day it's something else. But vigilantism, unfortunately, I think it's going to be an issue. That's what's going to happen from now on.
Yeah, and how sad. It's sad that citizens are at such a boiling point and so frustrated that they do feel they have to take the law in their own hands. But you know what they're feeling like, Vinny, is like nobody has their back. They're seeing this revolving door of justice. And in this guy's case, it sounds like there are a couple priors in this guy's background. First of all, he's in the country illegally. He never showed up. But unless you committed a crime in the database when you cross in America, by the way, they will not deport you. It's interesting. I just did a podcast that's going to go up later this week. And it is with Tom Homan, who is the former ICE director, who is, customs enforcement. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. He was the director there under Trump. And he said to me a startling detail that under Joe Biden, which is, a stark contrast to what President Trump was doing. President Trump knew how to secure the border and it was effective and the numbers show it and the proof shows it. But in this particular case, now under Biden, for example, that you don't only have to be accused of a crime unless you are convicted of a crime, they do not deport you. think about the standard, not just accused. Like this guy right now is obviously accused. He's been charged. By the time he's convicted, it could be many years down the road. And until then, he might not be deported. Luckily, this case was so high profile that he will hopefully never see the light of day, and he's behind bars. But how many cases are like this guy that we just don't know about? That's a little more under the radar than this particular case. And those people might be walking free until they're actually convicted of a crime. Vinny, there's something wrong with the system that you got to wait till somebody's actually convicted of a crime in this country. I'm not even talking about it in a foreign country, like the guy, like the monster who killed the mother of 5 in Maryland. So you have to actually commit a crime in this country. You have to be charged. You have to be tracked down, of course. And then you got to be convicted. That to me is a ridiculous standard. Your thoughts, Vinny?
It is. It's absolutely horrible. And the worst part about it is this president and its administration will never acknowledge any of this stuff. Nothing at all. And, what's going to happen now? Is it going to be a point where if it's your daughter, my daughter, and something happens, then you got to worry somewhere down the line that he's going to get off because he's accusing drugs of videotaping something like this and us going to jail for it. I don't know. I just see us going down here really fast, and it's really sad.
Well, I agree with you, but I am at least emboldened or at least inspired that there are good people like Jeffrey Flores and others that decided to take this monster down in this case, and that there are good people out there who really do want to stand up and do the right thing. Vinny, thank you. Let's go to Sandra in New Jersey. Sandra, your thoughts?
I was thinking about what you said, how that creep that raped the girl, it was on drugs. He's blaming it on drugs. The drug is only adding fuel to the fire that's already lit. Like, for instance, the terrorists who, tortured all those beautiful people in Israel, they were on drugs. Now, they were not doing that because they were on drugs. They were already planned to do this horrible thing, but the drugs just gave them more adrenaline. So the same thing with this bad person. He already knew he's going to do a bad thing, but the drug just added to the motivation, to the adrenaline. That's my opinion. I mean, drugs don't make you do things. They just make it easier to do it.
I agree, Sandra. I'm so glad that you're separating the two, because I think that's a really great point, because so many times people say, oh, well, I was on drugs. I didn't really realize. And just like you said, he clearly had motivation. Then he went and bought more drugs afterwards. He was conscious enough to do that. He was conscious enough to tell them to wait 20 minutes. I hate when I hear so many of these criminals either use drugs as an excuse. Like you said, it intensifies bad behavior, but the bad behavior is already there. Or also the mental illness. How about these one? Oh, I'm mentally ill. But you weren't mentally ill enough to, you were cognizant clearly and not mentally ill enough because you got the gun, you brought it on the subway, you opened fire, and then you got rid of the gun, then you hid, and then you hid in your mother's apartment. I'm just bringing up examples that people have done in the past. And then they say, oh, I'm mentally ill, or I was on drugs. Hogwash. I agree with you, Sandra. These people, you know what? If you commit the crime, whatever the reason is, whatever your excuse, it's not an excuse, right?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely, Rita.
Bravo. I think your points are so great, Sandra. Thanks so much. And everybody will continue with your calls after the break here on the Rita Cosby Show. 1-800-848-9222. Bravo, Sandra. Great points.
It's the Rita Cosby Show. This is the Rita Cosby Show.
And we have been talking about this horrible case of the 13-year-old girl who was raped by an Ecuadorian illegal migrant. Thank goodness the guy has been busted, and thank goodness he got his taste of street justice. that Jeffrey Flores and other people in the community there decided to take it upon themselves and bust the guy and hold him down until police came, because they said, hey, we recognize this guy. We recognize this interesting tattoo that he has. And he had braces, and there were a couple of very distinguishable features that he said, you know what? I think we know where he goes. I've seen him in the neighborhood, and they waited for him, and it was worth the wait because they took him down. Here again is audio of the neighborhood rounding up and pounding on this guy. And I say, thank goodness.
Curo live. ¿Dónde tú te vas? ¿Dónde tú te vas? ¿A dónde tú te vas? Aquí voy a esperar. Oh, okay. 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 ¿A dónde tú te vas? Rapist. He don't care. He don't care that he hit the third. He right there. He right there. He hiding because we beat the shit. Yeah. Rapist has Citizen F, baby. Thank you. Y'all, we did y'all job for you. He's right there. Look at him right there. We beat his ass. Where my 10,000? Where my 10,000? We beat his ass. Beat his ass. Beat his ass.
Bravo. I want to play that again because she's so good. Here it is again because you know what? She gets the Citizen Award.
Curo live. ¿Dónde tú te vas? ¿Dónde tú te vas? ¿A dónde tú te vas? Aquí voy a esperar. Oh, okay. 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 ¿A dónde tú te vas? Rapist. He don't care. He don't care that he hit the third. He right there. He right there. He hiding because we beat the shit. Yeah. Rapist has Citizen F, baby. Thank you. Y'all, we did y'all job for you. He's right there. Look at him right there. We beat his ass. Where my 10,000? Where my 10,000? We beat his ass. Beat his ass. Beat his ass.
Bravo. That's all I can say. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Kurt in Staten Island. Kurt, your thoughts.
Hi, Rita. Good to talk to you again. I want to say this. I mean, I love what those people did, but, I would not find fault with a correction officer who would turn their head from him on Rikers Island while he's getting what he deserves.
Wow. You know what? Well, I hate to agree with you on that because that I don't think is appropriate. And I don't think a correction officer should be doing that. On the other hand, you know what? Things happen in prison. That does happen. But I don't think it's a good idea, obviously. And I don't think correction officers who are law enforcement officers should be accidentally turning a blind eye. But obviously what this guy did was despicable. And I'm glad that they beat his butt, as you just heard there. And apparently he was like hiding under a vehicle when authorities came, crying like a little baby. Kurt, what do you make of that? Hopefully he's had a wake up call. And you know what I also hope, by the way, I hope also this sends a message to others out there who are thinking of committing a crime or have committed a crime, that people will track you down and justice will track you down. Go ahead, Kurt.
But here's the thing. What's the question? What was their own child? I mean,
but listen, Kurt, I do not doubt how disgusting and what an animal this guy is. To me, you heard the words I used. I rarely use those words on the air, but this guy is a monster. And I say the same thing for the El Salvadoran who raped and killed that Maryland mother of 5 too. Same thing. These people are animals and they should not be in the country and they should be behind bars and they shouldn't be on this earth. I agree with you. I think there are animals living among us. But I'm not for law enforcement accidentally turning a blind eye, but I hear what you're saying. Believe me, the guy is lucky to be alive after that crowd. I hear where you're going, Kurt, because it is shameful what he did. It's disgusting. Let's go to Larry in Brooklyn. Larry, your thoughts.
First of all, Rita, I really think you have to distinguish between people that rape and murder and people that just rape. Okay. I don't necessarily think...
Because what? Because rape isn't such a bad thing, Larry? Is that where you're going? What are you going?
No, that's not where I'm going. I'm saying rape is a very common rape. The desire to rape women has been in men since the beginning of time, and the only thing that stops them is the deterrent of getting caught. In this case,
wait a minute, Larry. Are you trying to say what men are born to rape? You do me a favor, Larry. You got to hold on. I'm going to give you a few moments to decompress, because I need to decompress after what you just said. You seem to make it think it's innate in every man's soul. And if that's the case, that is disgusting, that is shameful, and that is pathetic. I will give you a few moments and we'll continue, because boy, I got to straighten you out after the break.